Hello everyone. Today we are at Chris home.
Sprague.
Chris Sprague home. So he's currently CEO of Leapfrog.
Mhm.
We have very good memories working at Leapfrog. Me along with we have Anmol and Suraj somewhere inside home. So yeah.
Yeah,
Chris.
well, thank you, and welcome everybody to my office. Yeah, you can see why I don't come into office that often, which is based in Seattle. It takes about 3 hours to get there, so I go there every other week, and otherwise I'm here. So we live on 4 acres, and two of them are in the woods, which we can actually walk through in just a minute. I have my what they call a man cave or my office really downstairs. It's a mess. I'm not going to show you that today. That's where I have all my monitors and gadgets and
Maybe a
books
glimpse.
thrown all over the place. Yeah, let me show you guys around. This is one of our makeshift garden. It's more ornamental. There are fish in there somewhere, but they haven't fallen. And we'll go in and then we'll take a look at the rest. All right. This is my wife, Tina. You're on a podcast right now, babe. And our dog that we're dog sitting, Goji. So we use Rover, which is the Airbnb for dogs, and the kids help take care of the dogs, and then they take the money we get from that and they donate it to different causes like growing trees and climate change and things like that. So just reinforcing, doing good. How's Kaya doing?
She came up and went down already.
She came up and went down already. Okay, well, let's go this way. And so I'll briefly show you what's evolved over pandemic life, which is when the pandemic hit, we were used to exercising like every day. And the last place you would want to be is a gym. So we started furnishing our own gym. And now that the pandemic is, I wouldn't call it done, but this is still where I work out. I haven't gone back to a gym in, over 2 years.
So I think I have noticed like so many golf balls. Any story?
These golf balls, it's funny. So these aren't ours. We found them in the woods that I'm going to show you in just a hot minute.
Mhm.
And apparently, like if you guys notice on the hills, there's a bunch of mansions, like even further up the hill than we are. And apparently someone just drives golf balls like into the forest. And so the kids go and pick them up and then they hit them back with baseball bats, things like that. But yeah, this is now the gym. So usually in between meetings, if I have time, I'll hit this up. Okay. So I won't bother my daughter. She's downstairs. Well, let's just click her really. And then, so come downstairs. It's steep, so there's a rail. Hey, Kitty. All right, this is my daughter. She's 6 years old. Just say hello to the babus. Okay, so that's the other thing to know, that Himal, Chandika, and I call each other Babu. So now anytime someone visits from Nepal or I'm having a meeting, she says, oh, you're going to talk to the Babus. So you guys are Babus, I'm a Babu. Everyone's a Babu who works for Leapfrog.
Yeah, I guess it's Chandika who started it.
Yeah, I think he started it. He said Babu, and then I started calling him Chad Babu, and then, yeah. Sooner or later, everyone's a Babu. Then there's her favorite is Yeju Babu.
Yeju
Babu. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Yeju.
So-
She came to visit.
To all Leapfroggers.
So
You
this
guys are babus in America.
used to be our game room, but then it became the children's play area. And now, since my wife's parents are visiting, it's their suite. They're not here at the moment, but they're staying with us.
And I guess is that your
Man cave.
So, is that what?
workplace?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm not going to show you guys that. too much classified information. My workspace is in this door
Okay.
down here. But so this is what used to be our yoga room. So this is bamboo floors. And it's slowly morphed into, yes, a yoga room, but the kids' playroom. Wow, that's the bedroom for my in-laws. Yeah.
Oh, you have maintained plants.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. The tree plant is so big.
This one?
Yeah, it's.
I know. That was a gift. So people know that we like to take care of plants and trees. So we get pretty consistent donations from people that grow out of or move.
So who take care of plants?
Gosh, everybody does, but really, my wife is a master gardener. Like it's a certification that you can get, and she's always been very much into sustainability, horticulture. She lived in Hawaii for 2 years, like doing horticulture, so living off the land and figuring out how to get the most from it. So very much her passion, and I'm getting into it, but yeah, I spend more time on the computer. All right, let's go back up.
So how does your day look like working at Leapfrog?
Okay, so I have 2 shifts to my day, right? So one is the talking to customers or people that work in the US. So now we have 435 people. Okay, so 15 people that work outside of Nepal, and that's mostly in the US, but we have 2 people in Switzerland, 2 people in Mexico, 2 people in Canada. So besides those, we have 15 or a little bit more that's outside Nepal, and then everyone else is in Nepal. So during the day, I usually wake up around between 8 and 9, then kind of start having meetings with people that are in the US or potential customers or existing clients, right? Just depending. And I try to wrap my early part of the day up by the time the kids are done with school. So that would be like the 3:30, 4 p.m. And then I start my second shift when it hits 9 a.m. in Nepal. So that's currently 8:15 p.m. here. And then I have any number of meetings that it takes. So today I have a 8 p.m. meeting, a 9:15, and a 10:15 p.m. meeting. And then my day usually ends around 11 or 12, and I just focus on getting set up for the next day and then go to bed. Yeah, but I do get that middle part of the day to do things like exercise, play, eat dinner type of thing. Yeah. And then Friday, there's no evening work. Right? My day ends like at 3 p.m. And I'm done for the weekend until Sunday. Here's a hot tub, but it's currently a cold tub because it's 100 degrees right now. So this is filled with cold water, and we're just using it to absolutely cool off when we have to.
Is that your vegetable garden?
Yes, it is what used to be completely a vegetable garden. Now it is a mix of a vegetable garden and a for chickens. Yeah. So I'm not going to take you inside while we have this dog who would love to get those chickens. Yeah, so we have 3 chickens. We used to have 4 chickens, 3 ducks, and 2 goats. We had to let the goats go because they just ate everything that we didn't want them to eat. So we found them a new home. And the ducks got taken by some animals that came out of the forest, probably a coyote or something. So now we're down to 3 chickens, and we're looking to get more ducks. But yeah, in here we grow our herbs, a lot of different berries. These are all grapes right here that may or may not be, they're starting to fruit. So these will be nice working grapes.
Do you make wines out of it?
Yeah.
Is that the plan, Chris? To make wines out of them?
I wish we had enough. Yeah, no, we can't make enough wine to satisfy us. We just rely on our grape.
Yeah.
Deepak, speaking of wine.
Of what? Yeah. it's in our car.
Okay.
Is this like beer?
So we've been eating outside almost every day, so just depending on how many of us there are.
I do love garden. So whenever I go to my village, I never eat inside my house.
Right.
I always eat like outside. I love like
Mhm.
eating outside with nature.
Oh yeah, no, we prefer it, and it's a nice way to kind of decompress after staring at a screen all day. It's just come out here and then we eat, and we just all we get to see is the trees and nature and things like that. Um, Sometimes we have a lot of people over, and then we like last weekend we had a lot of people over. But here's a fire pit that we get to use, and here's the woods. Our property goes beyond this creek that we'll probably get to show you. It goes to maybe a couple hundred feet beyond the creek over there. And okay, so something everyone from Nepal wants to do when they come is try the trampoline. I don't know if you guys want to do it or not, but almost everyone does, and they spectacularly fail. But you can try it.
Deepak, let's go fail.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Pretty fun, but this is where my kids love to chill out. They bounce and they just kind of look out over this valley.
Chris,
It's
why
called-
don't you show us how it's done?
Dude, I don't know how it's done. I just jump up and down.
So
But my kids can do like flips and backflips and routines.
do you have any plans anytime you want to leave off the grid?
Maybe. Oh, and so here, let me check this. Here, check this out. So, on that note, my parents were visiting a few weeks ago, and we put up this new roof to this deck, and you see this gutter here. So what this is a beginning of a water catchment.
Okay.
Okay. So all we have to buy is the tank, and then we already have the tubing that will go down. But the goal is to harvest the rainwater and use it to water our plants and gardens. So yes, and then we're also on well water,
Okay.
not on city water. So we already have our own drinking kind of water source if we want it. And then the only other component would of course be electricity.
So solar
where-
panels.
yeah, so we will eventually get into solar and things like that.
So how sunny is this area? Like how many days of sunlight do you get?
Here,
Yeah.
I mean, we're very close to Seattle. I would say we get more sun, but the same amount of rain, right? So in Seattle, it like kind of drizzles a lot more. Here, it more rains harder for less time. But really, 3 months of the year we get sun. The rest is pretty cloudy or rainy, right? Or snowing sometimes.
So we have like continuously heard from people that especially people living in Oregon and Washington area, like they get depressed with the gloomy weather, and so we have also heard some stories like people even move away, right? So what's your like?
So I was born in Los Angeles, but I grew up mostly in Oregon. So I'm used to it. Like I don't mind overcast. My perfect day is like 75 degrees and sunny and breezy, personally. So yeah, I don't get depressed at all. I appreciate it when it's sunny. Sometimes it gets too hot.
Okay.
Like recently, what we've had to deal with, and it looks like we have a little bit today, is like the forest fires. I think these might actually be coming up from Northern California. Yeah, there's a big fire there. But no, I don't get depressed, and I'm inside all the time anyways because I'm on the computer. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the best blend of climates, right? It's like you get all the seasons, and not too hot, not too cold in the winter. I don't mind the rain personally, and I think climate change is unfortunately only making things nicer for us here. But we also have a lot of fruit, by the way. So these are like different plum trees. There was 3 plums and a cherry tree behind there. You can see things starting to grow, but these are delicious. So this is a mulberry tree that we planted when our daughter was born in her name. So we actually planted it with the placenta, and it's growing gangbusters. But you guys can probably try one.
Okay.
Let me see. This is not fully ripe. Okay. You guys can try. These aren't fully ripe, so it's going to be a little sour, but like, they're very delicious when.
Deepak, what's your review?
This is good.
This way. There's more. All right, we're going to want to walk through here because we also have bees. Okay, so I'm going to show you the bees. This is ours too. There's a barn and then a playhouse that's a storage area right now.
So can we call this property as a homestead?
Yeah, you can call it a homestead, but yeah. You know, we love having it because we've come to appreciate the space and the privacy, and especially for the kids, like just having all the places to explore. Which is funny because I grew up more a city person, and it wasn't till Fina and I got married that I even got to appreciate things like nature, and space, and privacy more. But now I do. Like I'm a full convert now. I can't imagine living in a condo again or something.
So, Chris, random question: how much time do you spend in Nepal in like a year?
Well, since the pandemic, I've only been back like a couple times, but it used to be right before the pandemic, it was 3 times a year for about 2 weeks each, so 6 weeks. Early on in my Leapfrog days, it was 4 times per year for 2 to 3 weeks each, so more like 3 months a year I would be spending, 3 to 4 months.
So
in
now,
Nepal. Yeah.
post-pandemic, what's like the ideal balance?
Post-pandemic, it's probably going to be about 1 month per year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the area in Nepal you like to stay? In Kathmandu? Like?
Oh man, well, I used to love staying in Tamil when I was younger and single.
Okay.
But nowadays, man, I like whatever's closest to office. So last time I went, I was in a place that was walking distance from office, so I don't have to wait on Himal to pick me up late. Yeah. So
Okay, let's
yeah,
go.
but I love all that Nepal offers. So the pokhras and such.
So to continue, later my question. Does your family and kids miss city life?
So yeah, watch this.
Oh,
Yeah.
do they bite?
No, as long as you don't mess with them. So yeah, I would stay about right there, but they don't. They're really not aggressive. So these are actually 2 different hives right here. And for whatever reason, this one has more people.
This is your personal trail?
This is our personal trail. So this goes into the woods and down to a creek, and then you can go beyond if you want.
Please.
Yeah, here, let's walk this way. Do you guys want to see it?
Maybe we can walk through there.
Okay, just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. And also I think we should slowly continue. But yeah,
Oh, right. Okay. So this is our path into the woods. There's about another, I don't know, 40% of what you've seen back here. Okay. So pretty big. There's a creek down there. You see this tree that's down. So there's like 100 trees that fell down during the last ice storm that we had. So one odd part of our property is that big hill. So when it doesn't quite snow and the hill freezes over, we're kind of stuck here. Like there's no way to drive down without just, you know, kind of praying that you don't hit something. So we're stuck here, and yeah, there was like 100 trees that went down in the last ice storm.
Okay. So thank you, Chris. Chris has brought us at this beautiful food station. So you have like lots of food court here, street foods. So I'm taking some tuna bowl. How about you, Chris?
So mine is the non-sushi sushi. So it's a sushi burrito, but without any fish because I'm a vegetarian. So the avo, the carrots, and that kind of thing. Yeah.
How long have you been vegetarian?
I think 5 years.
5 years.
Almost 5 years. Yeah, maybe 5 years in January. So it actually started as a New Year's resolution to eat less meat. And then I got 2 months into the year and I hadn't eaten any meat yet. So I decided I wanted to be a vegetarian for at least 1 year.
Okay.
And then at the end of that year, I'd grown so accustomed to not eating meat that I just never wanted to go back. And now I'm continuing is like a little bit more philosophical, right? Like if I don't feel like I have to eat meat because I've been enjoying food plenty, then, you know, why bother?
Okay.
Just due to the sustainability, you know, treatment of animals type thing, right?
Is it also spiritual?
I mean, you could argue it's spiritual, but I would say it's more philosophical, right? It's like I don't believe something bad is going to happen to me after life if I eat animals. It's just I don't want to support taking something else's life,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, continue with your
Yeah.
question.
So you are the CEO of Leapfrog since 2 years, 3 years,
Almost four.
almost 4 years.
I mean, three and a half, three and a
So
half years.
so we already talked about this with Himal and Chandika. So what's your take on where you want to see Leapfrog go? Like, what's your vision with it?
1 second. I ate too much wasabi.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I can feel that.
No, I mean, so I've said this to the company, but I want us to be known as a world-class innovation engine for impact, right? And by that, I mean, so innovation means known for our ability to create new ways of doing things. And by impact, I mean, we build things that make people's lives better. And not just in terms of the engineering skills, but more of the how good are we at solving new problems with technology, so more holistic, right? Like we are the innovation engine that plugs in to improve the lives in these ways. And I'm really happy that we started doing that. For example, we launched our first product, or one of our first products, Signetic, which gave 1 million vaccines when COVID hit. We've started doing a lot more in and around healthcare. So one of our, I would say, non-strengths before was expertise in any particular set of problems or domain. And what we've been doing the past couple of years is really learning, a lot about healthcare and identifying problems there that we want to solve. So, I mean, that's in terms of what we're known for, but to be known as one of the best at doing that. And I think we've taken a lot of great steps there. The other things are to be just building our own products. I don't think that's ever going to happen. We just love building products, but now we've launched our own successful products. So that's great. Doing just engineering, I don't think that's enough. I think engineering is a means to an end to solve problems, not in to itself, right? As far as the size of the company, right? I think when I became CEO, I'm pretty sure we were about 120 people. Now we're 435. To me, size is just, it's not necessarily completely reflective of what the value we provide, right? I think it's a trailing indicator of do people, like what we do as opposed to the others. But my personal success metrics are we creating things that improve people's lives and are we known at being really good at that?
So as for size, when we talk to Himal, he said the goal is 2,500 engineers.
Yeah, no, I know, and we talk about that often, right? What is it going to take to be, first the first 1,000-person engineering company in Nepal, and then what is it going to take to be beyond that, 10,000 people, 5,000, 10,000 people, and I think we're going to get there. I guess, to me, that's the vanity metric that is a byproduct of the vision, not not the end in itself to strive for, right? We're going to get there because we're known as being the best at building products that help people, right? Not get there just because we want to hit the magic number. So that's just a little bit different, right? A mission of a web consumer company is not to get 10 million users, right? It's something else, connect the world if you're Facebook, or my previous startup was to make the world one big study group, right? To me, that's the mission, and the byproduct of being successful in that is going to be some success. It could be millions of users, it could be thousands of jobs, and I think that's admirable. But it's just different ways to look at the same outcomes, right? What do you prioritize?
And I still remember that presentation on open study.
Oh, building startups.
Yeah,
Okay.
you gave while you were in Kathmandu.
Yeah.
And,
You were a student.
yeah, I was a student, and I didn't know at some point I'll meet you and work with you, right? Yeah, tell us your story on how did you meet Himal and all of that, Chandika, and How is your coordination going on so far?
Mm-hmm. Well, Jamal and I met at my first corporate job, which was Oracle.
Okay.
He was on the same team, and we essentially became kind of like the proof of concept team within our department. So just building things to demonstrate whether it could, to prove it has value to some like customers or people thought it was interesting enough to build something else. Um, and so we did that within Oracle and created some really cool stuff that a lot of people were excited about. Like we were using, this is back in 2004, what were new technologies at the time, like Oracle Spatial, right? So think about what like the Google Maps type APIs are today, but on steroids, but 20 years before, right? And so we were using these new just capabilities that were foreign to the web before then. Like there's something called MapQuest, not Google Maps, and just conceptualizing new product ideas for Oracle. And I think, yeah, where the rubber met the road was when Himal and I presented at Oracle Open World, which is their, like 40,000 person conference where they invite all the customers and people in the Oracle ecosystem, probably bigger than that actually. And we presented it. Everyone loved it. They were asking when they could have it, how we built it. And at the end of the day, our VP said, he didn't want to make it a product and, end of discussion. Right. And so it was like that kind of realization that those bigger companies are kind of where innovation goes to die, not to flourish, was when we both decided we wanted to leave work. Right. And so at the time, we were talking about starting startups together, but Himal got a job working for this company called D2 in Boston, right? And then I went and worked for startups in the Valley. And so, of course, D2 Hawkeye became Versen, became Coactivity, right? And my startup that I started after working in the Valley for some became Open Study, which is the thing that I grew until it was pretty successful, and then that was eventually exited. But Himal and I always wanted to start a company together. Was what we wanted to do within Oracle. That's what we wanted to do after Oracle. And so when that time was right, he had just started Leapfrog, and they had decided to really pause on the mobile banking thing. And I was done with Open Study. He said, "Hey, Chris, why don't you, let's just work together on one project, so-called SB Workbench, one of the very first Leapfrog projects." And
I guess yours was working.
I've heard of that, but
okay, it's a part of lore, yeah, at this point. And he got me to come out to Nepal, and that's where you saw my presentation on Open Study.
Okay.
And I just kind of fell in love with it, and fell in love with the idea of, being able to not just build a product or a company, because kind of had done that, but to participate in the ecosystem level, right? And creating jobs or startup culture or startup opportunities. One of the things we've been working on quite a bit has been education in Nepal, which of course was my original passion. So I don't know if you know that, but we're partners in a school in Nepal called Aden,
Yeah.
right? And I'm vice principal. And so every time I go there, it's talking to the students or the teachers or the parents about just my education background, and then also how we're going to be adopting new learning paradigms in Nepal. So education, technology, and project-based learning, and really try to make something that's special there. But yeah, so I mean, I guess impacting at a different level than you get to with just a startup is something that attracted me, and I fell in love with the people, the culture, and man, that was now almost 10 years ago.
So
Crazy to think of.
the reason you guys left Oracle was because the head honchos there basically didn't appreciate your idea, right? So now you are in a position like you are the CEO of Leapfrog, and let's say like an engineer in Leapfrog comes up to you and says like, "Hey Chris, I got this idea. I think it might be good." So what would be your approach to, like, when let's say an engineer, like someone from Leapfrog comes up to you and say like, hey Chris, listen to my idea, what would be your approach in that?
Yeah, and a good question. We've had a couple different rounds at this at Leapfrog, right? So we launched something called Leapfrog Labs, which Deepak, you know pretty well, which was us trying to sponsor and incubate ideas and source them from people that had them. And the challenge was that, you know, even at the time, this is what, like 6 years ago, probably, there just wasn't a market in Nepal to create a startup that's Nepal focused, right? And we found that out the harder way, um, which is, you know, back then when there weren't ways to transact online and everyone's just, you have to pay with cash, and it's really hard to build a scalable startup that way. And that's been the history of a lot of the Nepal focused startups until very recently, when things like payments have been enabled and the Isuwas have taken, you know, those kinds of things that allow you to build a standard kind of commerce driven startup. But anyway, so that was like attempt number one. Now what we have is a bunch of, I would say, internal projects, right? So now to someone, and this has happened in the past couple of years, that comes up with an idea. It's like, okay, well, do you have any spare time or people that want to work on it with you? Okay, well, why don't you, do it, right? Like start working on it. And we have a lot of tools that have been built internally that way, whether it's our own people management system called Bayagutta, right? There's now a new microservice project, and Bayagutta is turned into something of its own, where we've written our own evaluation systems, our own rewards and recognition systems. So there's a lot of, ways to build and prove out ideas without needing a big company support nowadays. So I would encourage people just to try it, right? And once you have proof that it's valuable, then we talk about whether we want to invest in it as a company, as a product. All right.
So lastly, we want to give some messages to leapfroggers, Nepal.
No,
Messages.
message.
No, I just love showing you guys like my home. And
Yeah, let's
sure. Yeah. Love showing you guys my home. I love showing everyone when they come visit. We have, I don't know, between like 0 right now, but in general, between 3 and 10 leapfroggers in the US at any one time. Visiting different clients or staying. Now we have corporate apartments in Seattle. That's like the home base. But inevitably make Portland a stopover for everybody. And then,
Chris, what do you think of like doing Airbnbs on the property?
yeah, I don't know. I think that crosses the line of
privacy.
yeah, like privacy, and like we don't need that kind of money for how much work it is. We have friends that do Airbnbs, and they do it for their living. But yeah, I think probably not for the intrusion. And we're more likely to creating places for friends to stay than strangers. But we love Airbnb.
Just not in your backyard.
No, not in my backyard. That's right.
Yeah, and we have brought something for you. This is from all of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whoa, thank you very much. Oh man, we will get to this right away. Thank you guys. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, and love having you guys stop by.